welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going on a bit of a journey into our own minds. And our guide for this is the Buddhist monk Ajahn Brahm, as we look for a real path to inner freedom.
All right, let's just dive right in with a pretty wild idea from Ajahn Brahm. He says that the greatest torture we experience, it's just thinking. Think about that for a second. The biggest source of our stress isn't what's happening out there, but the nonstop chatter happening in here. He basically says our own mind can feel like a prison.
So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How in the world do you escape a prison that's made of your own thoughts? Well, that's what we're going to unpack in this explainer. We're going to walk through the path he lays out in his teachings, a journey from all that mental noise to hopefully some real profound quiet.
Okay, so first things first, we have to really get a handle on the problem itself. And the problem really is the restless, just relentless nature of a mind that's, well, untrained. Ajahn Brahm has this amazing term for it. He calls it the tyrant of doing. It's like every single thought that pops into your head becomes an order, right? Fix this, worry about that, you have to plan for this. And before you know it, you're basically a slave to your own mental to-do list. You're constantly busy, but you're never, ever truly at rest. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. The diagnosis for this whole condition, it's fascinating. It goes right to the very core of who we believe we are. So the teachings say the real root of all this struggle is our belief in this solid, continuous me, We have this idea that there's a little CEO sitting in our heads, a manager who has to control everything. But this concept of non-self, or anatta, it just throws a wrench in that whole idea. It suggests, what if there's nobody actually in the driver's seat? And you can really see what a huge shift this perspective is. I mean, look at this. On one side, you've got the world of a self. It's all about control, struggle, endless wanting, and taking everything personally as my suffering. But on the other side, without that fixed self, it's about letting go, allowing things to be. It's about peace, contentment, and just effortless being. You're basically moving from fighting reality to just flowing with it. So here's the real kicker, the big insight. We all know I think, therefore I am, right? Well, Ajahn Brahm flips that on its head. He says it's the other way around. Because you want to be, therefore you think. It's that deep, gut-level desire to exist, to be someone, that fuels the whole nonstop thought machine. Our mind is just constantly trying to build up and reinforce this idea of me. Okay, so if this whole idea of self is the trap, then how do we get out? Well, the path isn't about fighting your thoughts head on. It's something much, much more gentle, kind of like following a beautiful fragrance on the wind. And I just love this metaphor. It's so beautiful, right? It suggests we don't just brute force our way to peace. Nope. Instead, we learn to notice that subtle fragrance of stillness whenever it pops up, and then we just gently incline our minds toward it, kind of like a bee that's just naturally drawn to a flower. And this actually translates into a really practical path. First, you just let go of the world for a bit. Put aside all those worries about the past and future. Then you find some quiet, some solitude to let the mind settle down. And then, and this is key, you just start to gently notice and appreciate any little moment of calm you can find. The huge shift here is moving away from doing meditation, from forcing it, to simply allowing stillness to happen all on its own. So as we keep following this fragrance, as we just allow the mind to settle, we start to experience this incredibly deep mental quiet. And this state, well, it has a name. That state is called Samadhi. Now, a lot of people translate this as concentration, but that kind of gives the wrong idea, doesn't it? It sounds like hard work. A much better way to think about it as profound stillness. It's that state where the tyrant of doing finally takes a break. It's not about trying harder. It's about letting go so completely that the mind just becomes utterly still. And in the deepest levels of this stillness, which are called the jhanas, something really remarkable can happen. The entire world of your five senses can just fade away. You might not feel your body anymore. And this is wild. The very sense of an I, the observer watching everything, that can disappear too. So what's left when the self and its world are gone? What remains is just this profound peace and bliss, a direct experience of freedom. So this whole journey, this path of letting go, of following that fragrance into deep stillness, it all leads to a final destination, And that destination is the permanent end of all the stress and struggle we were talking about right at the beginning.
The Buddha had this really powerful way of describing this. He called craving the house builder. It's this part of us that's always building new houses of suffering for us to live in. But when you finally see through the illusion of the self, you see the house builder at work. You catch it red-handed. And once it's been seen, it can't just keep working in the shadows. It stops building.
So this ultimate peace, which is called nibbana, it's not some heavenly place you go to after you die. Not at all. It's a state you can experience right here, right now. And it's defined as the complete calming of the will. It's the end of that relentless pushing and pulling of wanting this, not wanting that. The tyrant of doing is finally and permanently dethroned.
And so we're going to leave you with this final thought from our journey. It's not really something to think about, but something to feel into. Just ask yourself, what would your life feel like if, even for just one moment, you wanted absolutely nothing at all? That question, that points directly to what a taste of this freedom might be like.